It is extremely easy to stand out. But if everybody stood out, then nobody would stand out or stand out. Let me show you how to stand up in a crazy, saturated digital world.
This is Propulsion, the podcast for forward-thinking and driven and ambitious financial planning professionals. It is the catalyst to the exponential growth of your financial planning practice, your business, or your franchise. This is where professionals come in order to learn about the latest technology, to learn about best practice when it comes to running and managing their business, as well as marketing, sales, relationship building, the best and most valuable interviews with local and international guests, and a whole host of other things. Without any further ado, here is your host, Francois du Toit.
Alrighty, here we go. So when we talk about content marketing, what are we really talking about? Because I think, again, like many other things in our wonderful profession, people have different views and different ideas and different definitions for the same thing. So how do we view this? And this is sort of my view of content marketing. I think you can also call this content creation, if you will. But it's really using content in order to market and gain exposure for your business. This is mostly a digital strategy. When people talk about content marketing in general, what we're really talking about is a digital strategy. Although, if you really think about it, we've been doing this content marketing thing for many, many years. Because just think about, articles in newspapers, in magazines, being on radio, being on TV. So content marketing is not a new concept. But the thing is, now it's all digital, and because you have access to all of those mediums, it is just such a simple, easy way to use content marketing for your business. So, so yes, it's a digital strategy, but what is it really about? I think in my case, it's about sharing, right? Sharing ideas, sharing knowledge, sharing like solutions, any of those kind of things. It is definitely something. If I think about good content, what is good content is when I go and search for something and there's an answer to the problem I'm trying to solve. There is an answer or an idea to trigger something that I can do next. There is guidance that I receive that I can use to my benefit. And it's all about that. The other thing it is definitely about, and this is my space and where I operate in, is education. We're big into financial advisor development and creating awesome content to help advisors move their businesses forward, etc. So that's really what we're about. So a lot of the content we do is obviously educational. So it's definitely about education. And yes, it is today about, specifically if you look at the younger generation, but even anybody else, I think, I don't believe there's such a big difference between all the different generations and what they're about and what they want. Like, we're all human beings. At the end of the day, there's certain things like we only have so much attention. We only have so much time. We only have so much energy. So at the end of the day, it is also about, believe it or not, entertaining. And it is also about storytelling, definitely. So those things are definitely what content marketing is about. And when we set off on this content marketing journey, it's important to incorporate all of those things, not all of it into the same piece of content, but spread them across different kinds and different pieces of content. So that's definitely the one thing that I believe content marketing is not about. And there is a place for it, right? But that's sort of very specific. But when you think about content marketing in general and what it is that you're trying to achieve, it's definitely not about showcasing you. It's not about showcasing your business. It's not about showcasing your products, your services. It's got actually nothing to do with you. It's got everything to do with the person you're talking to on the other end. So whether it's through a camera like this, or whether it is an article that you wrote, whether you're on a podcast, it's not about you. It's not about your business. Nobody cares, like, really. Just think about this, like how many times people would go like, Olvia, what's in it for them? Knowing more about you, absolutely critical. It's part of building your brand. And that's what I mean with saying there's a place for it. There is a place to show what training you're attending, what awards you're winning, what you're doing from whatever perspective that's maybe got nothing to do with your client, because it does show them how serious you are and it helps build your brand. But that's a brand building exercise. And yes, you can build brand using content marketing, absolutely. But the content marketing I'm talking about today it's not about the branding. Branding is obvious. It's often a spin-off of that, like I've experienced in the last 2.5 years with the show. It's something that we didn't set out for. It's something that just, for me, was an unintended consequence, and it was a big lesson from the journey. But it wasn't about that. I still managed to do that without talking about the things that I do and the things that I'm about, etc. So, definitely something to just keep in mind when I talk about content marketing. I'm talking about the value that you bring to the person you are talking to and making it all about them and solving their problem and answering their questions, because that's where the most power is. Right. So if that is what content marketing is and what it is not about, I guess the next question becomes why should you even care? About this, because like Francois, really, now I do assume, I've seen people on here this morning. Thank you very much for saying hi, by the way. That I haven't really seen you in a long time, or maybe they've been here, but they haven't said hello. So it's awesome. But obviously there's something about content marketing that you are interested in and that you want to learn about. So I want to sort of start off with this and say, well, why should you even care about content marketing? Because you're already so busy. You're already so thinly stretched. You are already running around now, running a business virtually from anywhere, people sitting all over the place. There's new challenges that came about. So why should you even care about this? Well, first of all, just think about this. Even when you start looking for something, doesn't matter what it is, right? Whether it is whether you want to buy a car, or whether you have a question about how a credit card works, or you have a question about anything. In fact, like, you don't ask anyone. You, like, probably 99% of us go to Google and go, ask my question then, start looking for answers there. So the journey for financial planning for any person actually today starts on the internet. 99% of the time, I would guess. I've got no facts to back that up, but intuition, experience, seeing what people are doing, I believe that that's exactly what is happening and why they're doing that. The other thing is that if you think about content marketing, it's so much better than an ad. Why? Because an ad is just about this big, maybe a full page, costs you a lot of money. Maybe it's some banner ads and some ads that you push through Google AdWords and whatever it may be. But it's static, it's small, it needs to catch someone's attention. But it does nothing other than that. All right. Whereas if you think about content marketing, the benefits here are that people get to experience your personality. They get to see your expertise in action without you saying, like, I know this much and I do this and I do that. By simply talking about their problem and a solution to their problem, they get to experience this. And I experienced this in person way back in 2016. I think I mentioned this probably before. I was presenting a session at a big construction company on behalf of one of the insurers. It was all about the pension fund and sort of what their options were, because for those people within 5 years of retirement. And there were people sitting in that audience that were listening to me. And afterwards, that came to me to come and ask me for help. I was just there as a facilitator. I could not help. I had to refer them to someone else that was there. And they walked right out the door between me and this guy. But because the difference is that they got to listen to me, and they either resonated with what I was saying, how I was saying it, the expertise that I sort of conveyed, the way that I answered questions that people asked. And these people felt like, I want to talk to this guy more. And that was an in-person experience, right? Because people sit there in a group, they look at you, and then some like you, some don't, some doesn't care. But that's what happens. And it's the same thing with content marketing. When you put content out there that are talking about people's problems, that are talking about solutions to those problems, people resonate with the way you explain. They resonate with the way, you sort of answer the questions. They love that stuff. And they say, oh, this person knows what they are talking about. I really like the way that he explains stuff, or that she explains stuff. So I want to know more. And that sort of attracts them to want to contact you and do business with you. Just having an ad with a call to action is not enough. Most people will not click that, because money is such a personal thing. Finances are such a personal thing. And now they're walking around, and just think about this, right? So if they can hear that you speak their language, they make a decision on their own, and they decide to contact you or to engage with you. I mean, isn't that a lot less intrusive than something like a cold call, for example, or sliding into someone's DMs, like their direct messaging, just because like, oh, we connected and you don't know me, but, I was wondering this or wondering that. So, yeah. And the problem is that often with that, when we do those kind of things, the cold calls, the DMs, those kind of things, we're interrupting someone's day. And they're not necessarily ready. So it becomes a numbers game, right? So you're trying to reach all these people as fast as possible because math says and history says that if I make so many calls or send so many messages, out of 100, 10 respond, and out of 10, I get 3 appointments, and out of 3 appointments, I close 1. So if I just keep doing that, I know how many I need to do in a month. So it's a lot of effort for very little reward, in my opinion. But in the short term, that is maybe a good strategy to get going, but long term it does become quite a thing. So content marketing, that's the other thing about content marketing. You've got to have this long-term idea about it. You've got to have a long-term vision for it. You've got to have a long-term commitment to this. There are people in the community, in the Propulsion Pro community, who are extremely good at content marketing and engaging with people on social media, for example. But it didn't happen overnight. They committed to this and they've been doing this for years. And we think they just showed up, but they're really seeing the benefits as they go along. The other thing about content marketing, and this is the thing I also experienced in that session, is that it builds, or even with a show actually more than that session, is that it builds familiarity, right? You feel like you get to know the person. You feel like there's a relationship, even though you've maybe never met. You feel like I understand this. I love the way Francis says, good morning. A lot of people sort of, that's the first thing they experience and the first thing they remember, but that's sort of the personality. And that is the way that sort of people connect. So you can do exactly the same thing. It's that building familiarity that when you meet or they do contact you or you do happen to contact them, that it feels like, sure, I know this person. So, it's a lot easier. And it also builds trust. And those two things are the basis for any relationship, is familiarity and trust. So definitely something you should be caring about. The other big thing for me is, and it sort of alludes to the sliding into DMs, making cold calls, interrupting someone's day. It is really about meeting people when they are ready to listen. This is almost like when the student is ready, the teacher shall appear. I think Tony Robbins says that, or somebody like that says that. And it's very true. Gary Vaynerchuk talks about, he's not in the business of convincing anyone to do business with him or that they need what he does. Like when they're ready, they can come and talk to him and then he'll engage. But for us to spend time convincing someone who's not ready to listen, who's not ready to do something, is really futile. It's a lot of energy wasted to rather just find the people who are ready. And that's what happened with content marketing. When someone is ready, they start searching, they start looking, they start consuming, and then they start engaging. So that's the power from that. And then the biggest thing probably, or one of the biggest things, if you do create content consistently, and consistency may mean different things to different people, is that you build up a digital track record, right? So when somebody does start searching and people maybe, so they saw you online and then this person said, oh, you need to speak to that person. And they go and look for you and there's all this stuff and they can see, wow, you really know what you're talking about. Whoa, you've been around for a long time. Whoa, love the way that they do things. So that is one of the big things with this, is that digital track record that you are building. All right. So that's why you should deeply care. The next one is, I first called this like different types of content, but that's not really true. This is more different formats. And the formats of content, it's just different ways in which you can produce and publish. There goes my smush. So, different ways that you can produce and publish content. And there's obviously many of these things you will be familiar with. But the biggest idea around the format is that you need to choose something that you're most comfortable with, something that will probably be easiest for you. And I don't even think that you should set out to publish what it is that you create. Maybe it's just the process of getting into the creating part so that you can get used to that. And I can tell you this, way back in 2016, I think it was 2016, I committed to writing articles for my newsletter. I wrote so many articles, and the more I did it, the quicker and easier it became. So it's the same thing with a show. Like the first things took me so long to prepare for, and now it takes a lot quicker, and it's just more slick because I've done it now. This is episode 182. So, you've done it so many times that it becomes so easy. It doesn't take that long. But that first bit is a little bit frustrating. It's a little bit like sometimes annoying, and it's unsettling and all of that, but definitely something that is worthwhile. So what are the different formats? Well, obviously, I think the first thing that comes to mind when we think about content marketing is obviously articles or blogs. That's sort of something that was big specifically in Web 1.0, I would say. Then came along Web 2.0, and now we have things like podcasts and videos and images and all sorts of things. So those are definitely also good ways to create this. And the big thing where I think, if you think about this, because clients would, or even prospective clients would want to consume things in different formats, right? So once you've created one piece of content, to repurpose that content and use it somewhere else, turn it into let's say, write an article, turn it into a podcast, turn it into a video, turn it into a infographic or something, becomes so much easier. To create social media posts off the back of that is so much easier because the work is already done. So you're not only creating one piece of content for content marketing, you're actually creating multiple things if you want to, just by creating one. And that's the crazy part to understand, like just how powerful this can be and how you can find people in different places and in different ways to make them aware that you exist. Just some of the things, so as I've mentioned, there's podcasts and videos and stuff. There's also, PDF guides. Sometimes you see them in a carousel on LinkedIn. Sometimes it's just a downloadable PDF and people want your email address in return for it. And sometimes they give it away for free. Doesn't really matter, but there's PDF guides that you can do. Graphics, I think, is a big thing, like not just infographics, because sometimes you feel like you have to have a design degree and a design thing to be able to do that, but not really necessary. So simple graphics, just showing things in a picture format and telling a story around that is extremely powerful. Then obviously things like social media posts, email. Don't throw away email as part of content marketing. You think about, something like you're sending out investment reports on a monthly, quarterly, annual basis. I always say that's the one email the client will definitely open, or your open rate on those things will be a lot higher than it would be on a normal email marketing campaign. And it's an excellent opportunity to just put something short and sweet in that message to reach your clients. So emails are definitely a big way. And then WhatsApps. Don't throw away WhatsApp. WhatsApp, I think, is often seen as a distribution method. So how to send the content that I've created, and it absolutely is. But you can create content specifically for WhatsApp because it needs to be shorter than the rest of the stuff. It needs to be simple, and it's really a way to drive them to the full content. But there is a way to do that as well. So there's all these different things, all right? So I guess if there's so many things, what is the next question? It's like, geez, Francois, where do I start even? Which is quite a good question if that was on your mind. So where to start? Well, let me just give you some tips first, because this was content marketing secrets, right? So some of the things to keep it or to make it very powerful and to make it sort of easy for you to start is to keep it simple and to keep it plain. So stay away from technical language, stay away from big ideas, answer the simple questions, and don't forever think that, but this question, I've seen this answered so many times. There's so much content. If I go on Google, I can find so many answers. The problem is they're not finding your answer. They're not finding the way in which you explain it. And that's what I found. Like, even I felt like that when we started the training business is, you do training, but there's people who's been around for a long time. There's people who's very well known for this. Like, why would I even... And then you have people that come to you afterwards that say, listen, for the first time, I understand this. And then you realize over time that you have a way of explaining things that some people just understand easier and connect with better than what other people do. and other people would never come to me. So also attracting the right people is so critically important. So to start off with, just keep it simple, keep it plain. Don't make it this fancy hell of a long thing. It doesn't have to be long. Although, there is sort of a notion that longer form content does rank better when people search for it, because it's seen as there's more information, there's more. But that's not how you want to start out. You want to make it simple. When you haven't, exercised for 50 years like I haven't, and you can't go and lift the heaviest weight and just go and run the Comrades or go and ride the 94.7. No. Baby steps. So exactly the same with this. The big thing that I would say, however, is just stay clear from giving advice. And if you're ever uncertain about what you've written or videos you've made or whatever it is, check with your compliance officer. Send it to your compliance officer and say, listen, we want to publish this. Is this fine? Are we treading the line? Are we crossing the line? Like, what's happening here? Are they comfortable? So just stay away from giving advice. And remember, advice is defined as leading people to really do or enter into a financial transaction of whatever nature. So that's what we don't want to do. You want to focus on the problem, and you want to say, well, this is the thing that you want to focus on. The other big thing when it comes to this is that you want to keep it evergreen, at least 95% of the time. So it's not to say that you shouldn't focus on topical issues and things that are happening. If you think about like the war in the Ukraine, for example, it's a very topical thing. It has a very severe impact on investments. It has an impact on a lot of things, and that has an impact on finances. And so it's very topical. But in 5 years from now, it'll be history, right? So nobody will probably be. There's no value in understanding that. Probably, I don't know. There might be for educational purposes, but I don't know if that's such a good example, but it doesn't really matter. But I mean, hopefully you get that. So you want stuff that is always applicable, things that people are always searching for. There's always new people searching for this, because these things are, I don't want to say basics, but they are sort of basics, and they are principles, and they are things that we all have to deal with. So that's what I mean with evergreen content. So this is another example maybe on that. If you think about technology, I can share the best tool for project management today, and then tomorrow there's another tool that's even more brilliant. So things move so quickly that you can't keep up with that. So that won't be evergreen content. It is what is valuable now, what is trending now. So those kind of things, they come and go. But things like principles, etc., they stick around forever. Then the next step would be to choose a medium that you're most comfortable with. So for most people, I guess that would be writing an article, writing a blog, something like that. For me, I create 1-2 minute videos in under 10 minutes, all done, ready to go. But it wasn't like that in the beginning. And because I talk so much on the camera, that is what I prefer now. But I started off with writing articles, and it's amazing how much you learn from writing articles and how much that helps you in your journey down this content marketing process. Then I would say, if you want to start, then think about probably the 5 most common questions that clients ask you, or that you need to answer on a regular basis. Every meeting you have with a new client, it's the same questions you get asked. It's almost the same answers that you're giving. So think about those and write them down, and then start with those. So write an article, and sometimes with those questions, you might be able to write multiple articles about that same question. So just start creating that. Just write it in Google Docs or in a Microsoft Word doc. You don't have to publish it anywhere, but start writing this and start building up sort of a thing. I mean, just imagine if a client contacts you and you can just send this to them with your answers already. You can even make it look pretty, etc. But that is where I would start on this journey. All right. So on that, then probably, and I'll get to the comments in a second. Some ideas for getting started. So I already sort of said the 5 questions and answer those. But just some other ways, maybe you are on this content marketing journey or content creation journey, and you're running out of ideas, or you don't know what to do next, or you just want something out. I want to answer those 5 most common questions. I want something else. I don't know. I'm looking for something else. I want to share some other ideas with you. The first one is obviously, you can go to Google And in the Google search bar, so not at the top where the address is, because you can search right at the top, right? But if you go to google.com and you go in the search field and you start typing, you know that it brings up suggested searches. So when you start putting in something around retirement or making financial decisions or, just financial planning, etc., see what pops up. What does Google suggest? Because those are sort of the top searches that people are searching for on Google. There's also things like answerthepublic.com, where you can also do a similar thing, and it gives you more ideas around what people are searching for around that specific keyword or topic or whatever it may be. So that's always a good place to start, and most content creators will share that idea or that tip. So it's definitely not unique. Then the 5 most asked questions, that's definitely one where you can start. And then is there something that you're very passionate about? I've seen this, right? So people very passionate about lifestyle financial planning, very passionate about financial coaching, especially today. People are really into helping people through transitions. It becomes about more than just the technical, this is how tax works, this is the implication, this is what you can get back when you have a retirement annuity. So it goes beyond that, and people become so passionate about it. So write about that. Write about it. But don't go from the premise of, let's just say, lifestyle financial planning is so much better than, just looking at what's in your portfolio. It's not about that. It is saying, what is the problem and what is the solution, and making lifestyle financial planning the solution. It's not making lifestyle financial planning better than another form, even though that's what you may believe, or maybe that's even a fact. It's not about that. It's about, here's a different way for, if this is your situation, this is your problem, then this is the solution. And then talk about that, because when you're passionate, it's so much easier. I mean, you're having these conversations every single day. Then write about that. And then share. I think this is a very powerful one that I think we do way too little of, and this is so powerful. Some of the insurance companies do this when they bring out their claim statistics, but share anonymized stories from your clients, things that's happened. So whether it's a claim, whether it is, how we help somebody to gain control, help them make better decisions, whatever that may be, and feature that client as the hero and yourself as the guide. And it will be extremely powerful from that point. And those are evergreen. All of this is evergreen content. So that is where I would start from an ideas point of view. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today. We'll be back same time, same place next week, Friday at 7 a.m. So thank you very much for being here live. I really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. Go get your ticket for the Propulsion Summit at propulsionsummit.com. And stay safe, be blessed, and prosper. And remember to raise the bar. Thank you very much. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. Remember to check out the live show, Propulsion Live, on YouTube every Friday at 7 a.m. South African time. You can find it at www.propulsion.co.za/live. That's propulsion.co.za/live. And please remember to subscribe, share with your colleagues, your friends, and anyone who may find value like you did in this podcast. Once again, thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next episode.